Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. I'm here with Mark Hughes. In our previous episode, we were talking about Mark basically from birth through to becoming self-employed. So you can remember exactly, it was 25 years ago?
Yeah, 25 years plus. My biggest girl has her birthday and then this weekend actually, rolling into the middle of June. So yeah, it's pretty clear in my mind that there wasn't a lot of beans in the bank and we had a brand new baby. So yeah.
So at that stage, you were working for Terry and then you go on your own. Did your wife have did she have a career at all? Was she working in all of those times before having the family?
Yeah, no, she was, Fiona was a trained nurse and then finished up working in the pharmaceutical industry for a couple of the bigger drug companies. And now she's progressed into medical research.
Oh, okay.
So she's covered the gambit on the medical side with her life. So she's passed that on to one of our girls who is now a physiotherapist.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
So you got the role working for yourself. What did you trade as?
Mark Hughes Racing Enterprises.
And what did you focus on? You obviously had history in the gallops and the paces and trotters. Where did you actually focus on when you started?
Well, I finished up primarily heading back into the harness racing side. That was my first love, and tried to make a fist out of that. We did successfully, and like everything in life, it was you rise and fall with your results. So took a while. You know, we sold horses, but the key to selling the horses was finding the right ones, getting. So
when you say
the races.
When you say we, did you have someone working with you, or was Mark Hughes? Was that you and your wife as a company or a trust or a partnership, or was it we as in you and people that you used to source the horses and then sell them to, or what was the situation?
Sort of created a network, so I had someone in the North Island of New Zealand that I trusted and one in the South Island of New Zealand and obviously myself here. So we worked through it. We worked through a network situation there where I'd be quoted a lot of horses from over the ditch. We'd work through them. You'd learn who's who in the zoo, who to trust, who to deal with.
What about local horses? Did you buy, if you went to the trots or you seen one and thought, oh, I like that one there, I wonder if it's for sale, ring him up, I want 8,000 for it, and you think it's worth 15, would you source them as well?
Yeah, we were sourcing Australian horses as well. I must say, one of the first horses I ever sold was to Ross Sugars here in South Australia, down at Virginia Way, off an old mate of mine and good trainer, Lou Austin. She was called Unlimited Credit. So I reckon it was one of the first horses I ever sold, this big, solid going mare. And Rossi won a couple of races with her, didn't pay a lot of money for her, but I reckon that might have been my original sale back in the day.
So when was that, 2005?
Oh, so no, probably a bit earlier than that, maybe the early 2000s.
So how long was Mark Hughes trading for on his own? You just work from home? Did you have an office? Or?
Yeah, look, I work from home, mate. It was the easiest thing. Mate was working out of home long before it became,
So where was home at that stage?
Home was in Rosanna, northeast of the city of Melbourne. So still there today, and still got a home office, mate, that I'm there now and then, but obviously travel a lot.
So with that, did you have any involvement in administration, or did you just were sort of an avid follower of harness racing? That was 95% of your money. You went to the trots and you probably went to the big carnivals and that, but you didn't have alignment to anybody. You were just an independent, a bit like Adrian Hancock with the gallopers. Just a bloodstock agent that knew his stuff.
Just an independent person who'd made his money along the way, and like everything, it was a roller coaster. We only had to have a bad month where a couple of horses failed the vet, and but you carried on. There was a lot of hard yards, a lot of hard work. Sometimes you took unders just to get a job done to pay the wages. So worked on that, stayed the course, had a lot of luck, sold a lot of winners.
Any note that you can remember, or is it just too many?
Look, there was a lot of good horses, I suppose. Probably
name some of the horses and trainers and drivers that you would have sold to.
Oh, look, a lot of people in the West. Probably the best horse we might have sold over the journey was a horse called Tealsby Corralda, won a WA and I think Fremantle Pacing Cup for Gary Hall. A lot of good horses to North America. A horse called Blue and Royal off Graham Morgan won a lot of races in North America. Peter Morris used to buy a lot of good going horses off me. So
how and everyone will ask you, and everyone has a different opinion, a horse that I might like, you may not like.
Yep.
And a horse that you may like and I like, someone else says, well, yeah, I won't buy it off you, I don't like it, but we both like it. So what gave you the eye, which you've still got, to find the right pacer or trotter that's racing at the right price, and then have to match it to the trainer who's going to give that horse the best opportunity? Like, he's not going to, if it needs to be lightly worked, you're not going to give it to Joe Bloggs who's going to just work it into the ground. How did you have any criteria? Did you buy off certain trainers, or did you buy certain breeds, or did you sell to certain people and I'm not selling to him because what? How did you become successful in finding the right animal at the right price in a market that there would have been lots of backyarders just trying to sell, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the keys was the horses had to be good gated, clean gated, good going, could run a half in a certain time, and had the right sort of form as well. One of the things we always equated with New Zealand, particularly in the South Island, we sort of figured if you could win at Addington, one race at Addington, we figured that was 3 to 4 wins in Australia.
Yep.
Certainly in Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. One win at Addington was probably 6 wins in South Australia. It's probably 6 wins in WA. So we sort of looked at it. There were certain trainers you would never buy off. There were trainers you'd love to buy off. There were certain breeds, could run.
Of course, we won't name any of these people
because
we fear of repercussions. But
yeah.
Did you have any trainers? Sorry, did you have any trainers that you could just ring up and say? I used to sell a lot to Western Australia, and I could just ring Colin Johnson or Colin Brown or whatever, say I've got one for you, and that'd be it, gone. Did you have a select group of, say, in South Australia or Western Australia or Victoria that you could just say, look, Billy, this one here's 15 grand, it's just a bargain, grab it?
Yeah. There was a handful of people you could ring and say, listen, I think this horse, we can land this one for 15 Australian on the plane. I think when you're 30 or 40, it's probably got some resale value if everything's, stays in shape and you can ship it on down the road. The good thing about those days is you could lob into the eastern states, but then you'd have 2 for 1 in South Australia. The handicapping in system in WA was generous as well. So you knew those horses, when they reached their mark on the eastern seaboard, there was a home from
down the track
as they went west. So they had some resale value in them that someone else could, at the right time, move them on. Everyone could get $1. And primarily a lot of those horses that, say, finished up in WA on a Friday night, invariably a handful would finish up in the USA. So there was a market for all of them. There was some good people to buy off, good people to sell to. And those were the days, as I said before, you could put them on the plane relatively cheaply, and you could also put them on the old love boat.
And I think the other thing too was, in that day and age, you could buy a 2-year-old that had qualified in New Zealand, or a 3-year-old that may have had one start, and you could go to Melbourne and win a couple of 2-year-olds and a couple of 3-year-olds, and then if it just dropped off and wasn't good enough, you could come over here and still be a maiden. Well, the NR system has, hit that with 2 barrels, and that doesn't happen anymore. So certainly in my time when I used to find a few horses, you'd get those exact horses coming from Victoria into South Australia. They'd come from trainers that weren't probably up to scratch. You'd get them here, they would get a bit more form, and then you could sell them on to Perth. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. Those days, that's 15 years ago now.
Those days are long gone. Like we used to be able to do form at races. Say certainly in Southland, where you go look at a race meeting at Winton, there'd be 16 or 18 horses in the race.
One race.
And you could actually do the replays, and these are the days when the videotapes used to come over. That's how long I'm talking about. And there'd be one sitting eight back defence that never got a run, and it'd have a 0 next to its name. But you look at it and go, oh, this got out late, was held up badly, good gated, nice bred, middle of the road trainer. And they're the ones that you could actually pick the eyes out of and get them here, and they'd win those races. There was a lot more stock, so the prices were reasonable. But as time has moved on and we're breeding less, supply and demand issues come to play.
All right. So how long? What happened? So you're on your own. You had a career change. How did that occur? Did you get headhunted? What's the story? Where did you go? And is that the role that you're in at the moment?
Yeah, so 14 years ago, one of my conduits was John Devlin in Auckland. So I don't know if you met JD, but larger than life character. A lot of Australians would know him. JD was my conduit in the North Island to buy a lot of horses into Australia. At the same time, he was the agent for Woodland Stud in New Zealand. And they were having a few issues in Australia. And John had always said to Andrew Grierson, one of the principals, you got to get Husey. You got to get Husey in Australia. He'll turn things around. So long story short, they got me. I started with them 2011-ish.
What was your role?
So my role was
purely
to
promote stallions? Or?
Yeah, purely promote the stallions, get breeds, advertising it. The role is it's a mishmash of a lot of things. It's marketing, it's talking to people, it's
PR,
drafting
it's operations.
It's operations, it's everything. Making sure a box of semen gets there. It's doing a pedigree match. It's a real role. It's got a lot of, it's real meat.
Basically general manager, really.
Yeah,
that's what you are in Australia.
Yeah.
So how long have you been with them? 14 years?
Yeah, 14 years we're coming into, 14 years.
So what was the stallions they had when you went on?
So when I joined, we had Better's Delight was just coming to prominence, American Ideal. We just had Frozen for a horse called Crazed, and Pegasus Spur was our trotter. That was it.
Okay. So Better's Delight has done a more than admirable job. And, of course, American Ideal has... and probably if he was the only stallion there would have been amazing. But he's unfortunately, he's like the... when you got the best full forward in the game and you're the other full forward, well, you don't get full forward because he was... Better's Delight has rewritten every world record you could possibly do. So it's probably made your job, as you see, once again, you're lucky. You found them good horses, eh? So now the stallions you got now, you've got Better's is in the twilight. Obviously, has he retired back in New Zealand? Is he? No, he's still serving, but not going back to America, or does?
Yeah, no, this is his first. He didn't return to the Northern Hemisphere for the first time when he came down in August last year. So he's had enjoying a 6 months.
So is he going back again then, or
No. He's been retired to the Southern Hemisphere.
So who actually owns Better's?
He's owned in interest, still same partnership. We have the Southern Hemisphere rights to him, but Blue Chip Farm still exists in the ownership, and any sort of work we do for them in the Southern Hemisphere, as per previous years, they get a bone out of.
So I know Better's Delight has been a wonderful broodmare sire.
Yep.
And of course your new flagship boy is Sweet Lou.
Yep.
And it's easy for people to say, well, Sweet Lou's doing a fantastic job because he has the best mares. But if you analyse it, a lot of those best mares are saying are Better's mares. But that's because there's predominantly Better's mares at that stud. But in Australia, they aren't Better's mares. There's some Better's mares, but there's aren't major mares, and we go on and on and on. And he's continually proven to increase the progeny out of those mares as the best of that mare at the time. So how did they get to pick Sweet Lou, considering he came from what you'd call a left of centre or a rather obscure pedigree, and has been an outstanding success with just about everything, $1 million earners. How did they come to pick that horse?
So I think the key to Lou, and one of the major reasons behind getting him he's an outcross stallion. So the industry in this part of the world needed an outcross, was screaming for one. So Andrew and Paul probably made I would say to you, and it's easy for me to say now, the most courageous decision about standing a stallion that was differently bred in our sport that's ever been
Well,
made.
it had been done before with the Ponderosa, and he was very disappointing, right? For those that don't know, outcross, if you're talking to the gallopers, it became very... everything was a Danehill line horse, and there was nothing to outcross. So you actually had no stallions to breed to because your mare was in the same breed. So for those that don't know an outcross, you had to get a stallion that didn't have the Better's Delight line or whatever. So he has been hugely successful. I don't know how many winners he's got, but he's oldest to be, what, 7?
Lou's oldest now are they're 8.
8.
So he's actually 16 now. So, and as I said, getting back, the key to him was he was a great 2-year-old, great at 3, got a little bit lost at 4, but roared back at 5. He was now cross. He was a great racehorse. He raced deep, highly fertile.
Which is a huge difference.
Your staying's got to be fertile. We're shipping semen 3 times a week for nearly 16 to 18 weeks. The horses have got to have ace fertility.
So when they collect, say in the morning.
Yep.
So they collect today, which is, we'll just say today, Saturday.
Yep.
When is that semen going to be put into the mare if it was to go to somewhere in, say, Western Australia?
It'll be bred the same day. So we, long story short, from the logistical point of view, we collect in New Zealand at local time somewhere between 4 and 6 in the morning. We're at Auckland Airport by 7 o'clock. We're in Melbourne at 11 a.m. By the time we clear customs and do everything, the semen pretty much, say if you're breeding in Perth or in WA that night, your semen's in Perth that night at about somewhere between close to 7 o'clock.
So you can breed within 12 to 14 hours.
Breeding same day. It's quite an amazing system.
So going forward, we know that there has been the industry. We're not breeding as many.
Yep.
And I do think, this is only a personal point of view, that I think we have probably, pardon me, I think the gap's going to get higher. I think the quality, we can say what we like, but you not only have Sweet Lou and Better's Delight, but you have What the Hill, who I think is going to, in the next 3 to 4 years, will be producing Oaks and Derby winners. He's a trotter, of course, not a pacer.
Yep.
I think the gap's going to get higher. I think it eventually Better's is going to be retired altogether.
Yep.
They'll be then looking for another stallion to supplement Sweet Lou, and it'd be interesting to see what they come up with. And obviously, you've explained how they got Sweet Lou because he's an outcross. They may go back to something away from what's lined up with Sweet Lou, won't you?
Yeah, look, I think that there's we look at it methodically, so we don't take anything off the shelf. Mm-hmm. In the last week, we've been offered another couple of horses from North America, and we've declined them. So,
for what reasons? Not too dear, not up to scratch, not up the right bloodlines, or just all of those factors altogether?
All those factors.
Basically, you put all the stuff in the blender, and out comes a result, and it's purely taking out the emotion and the always a flashy horse or whatever. It's basically purely a business decision for the best betterment of that horse and all the brood mares that he's going to serve. If he's not up to scratch, he goes.
Correct. Like there's a long game to this. So, and provided the animal stays happy and healthy, the stallion, so the game can be long. But it's also about maximising great genetics. Mm-hmm. So we've had the ability to do that for the last 15 years through Betters, American Ideal, Sweet Lou. We believe Down by the Seaside is going to be a rock star. That's starting to show. And we got another little left of field horse called Lather Up. I've got a lot of time for.
I'm number one ticket holder.
Yeah, I know you're ticket holder, and I reckon the cameraman here might be number 2. So, but he's one of those. He's left of centre, fertile, great horse. There are a lot of things. That go in the blender that we think about.
Come out the other end.
That come out the other end. So, and the reality is, we employ a lot of staff in New Zealand. We've got people on the ground here, contractors doing stuff for us during breeding season. That we've got to be smart about it. Got to be smart about it. And at the end of the day, it's about offering the world's best genetics, but those best genetics have revolutionised the breed down under.
And that is the point that I don't think a lot of people will know. Is that once you you're done the opposite. You've enhanced all of those stallions. A lot of those brood mares that they've served, the progeny is the best out of that brood mare. I've seen the others, not to be named, where some of the best brood mares in Australia have been ruined by going to the wrong stallions, and therefore the genetics is ruined. It's not necessarily the stallions. His breed is not up to scratch. And if they say those horse had gone to Betters, I tried to beat a Betters and was unlucky not to get one. I'd love to have one out of Farratooth Lass, but I don't. But I understand where you're coming from, and that's why Woodland Stud's probably one of the top 3 studs in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. Certainly the best in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, look, we're proud of our record and proud of the work we've done. We know that, 15 years ago, the business got remodeled just after I joined it. So, and
You've been part of that success.
Been fortunate to be part of it. Worked hard, worked smart. We've bred our own. We've supplemented our own mares into our stallions. We turn out a great yearling crop most years at the sales. People buy our product because it's time honoured, but they know from the time it's methodically researched, methodically raised. We don't second guess what we do. We believe a lot of others do in our sport.
It's the best product.
So it's the best product available in the Southern Hemisphere, and a lot of that product has been very successful in North America.
Just quickly, I'm getting the wind up. Just a quick one. Best horse you've seen, Australia, New Zealand?
Best horse in Australia and New Zealand I've seen has to be Leap to Fame.
Right, trotter?
Pride of Petite.
Trainer?
Mark Purdon.
Driver?
Gavin Lane.
Love your work.
Thanks Cobber.
Thanks, Mark. All the best. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a very interesting interview.
You don't know, you want to say.
What have I done now?
Yes.
Jesus.
Your knowledge and things I'm talking is too good to sound.
Beautiful Cobber. Beautiful day.
It's just
18 degrees. I think tomorrow's nice as well, isn't it?
breeding.
Okay. Bit of rain next week though, isn't there, or something?
Pedigree matching, right.
Fire footy.
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I've live streamed everything, so I've ruined everything.
Okay.
I'm a chef by trade.
Yeah.
Right, so
No time for just 10 minutes.
Okay.
Maxie wants to do a little segment of